From 30 stories above Central Park, his penthouse windows framed a city that never paused, much like him. Every morning at exactly subah ke 5 baje, his alarm chimed once. He never needed a second. Discipline had become his armor. Coffee, treadmill, financial briefings. By subah ke siva 6 baje, he was reviewing overseas market shifts from Tokyo and London. By subah ke 7 baje, his assistant had already texted 3 reminders. By subah ke 7:30 baje, his car waited downstairs. Routine was safety. Routine meant control. And control meant he didn't have to feel the absence at the breakfast table. 3 years earlier, Emily had filled that silence. She used to hum softly while packing Lily's lunch. She had laughed at Daniel's serious expression when he read business reports. She had touched his shoulder and said, "You work too hard." Now, there was only quiet. After Emily's sudden illness and passing at St. Matthew's Hospital, Daniel did what he knew best. He optimized his pain. He replaced grief with work. He replaced nights at the hospital with late meetings. He replaced conversations with contracts. It became a habit so strong that he no longer questioned it. Even his daughter had become part of the system. Lily's schedule was structured with the same precision as his. Private school near the Upper East Side. Piano on Tuesdays. Art on Thursdays. A nanny named Clara who handled the emotional terrain Daniel avoided. He convinced himself this was love. Providing, protecting, planning. But love, he was slowly learning, required presence. That Friday afternoon was unusual. A major board meeting had been postponed due to an investor delay. For the first time in months, Daniel had an unexpected hour free. His first instinct was to fill it. Call another meeting, review numbers, visit the office anyway. Instead, perhaps from guilt, perhaps from impulse, he told his driver, "Take me to Lily's school." The driver glanced at him in the rearview mirror, slightly surprised. "Yes, sir." As the black sedan moved through Manhattan traffic, Daniel stared out at the blur of pedestrians. He noticed details he usually ignored: a street musician playing violin, a mother holding a child's hand, a nurse still in scrubs buying coffee. A nurse. The image unsettled him, though he didn't know why. When they arrived at the academy, the sidewalks were filled with polished shoes, designer coats, and waiting chauffeurs. Children ran toward luxury SUVs. Parents checked phones impatiently. Daniel stepped out, adjusting his tailored suit. He expected Lily to be near the entrance. She wasn't. His eyes scanned quickly, habit again, assessing, locating, controlling. Then he saw her, across the street, sitting on a weathered wooden bench beside a woman who clearly did not belong to this polished environment. The woman's coat was too thin for the chilly wind. Her hair, streaked with grey, was tied back loosely. A small brown paper bag sat at her feet. Her posture was humble, almost cautious. Lily leaned toward her, listening intently. Daniel's pulse quickened. A dozen protective thoughts flooded his mind. Who is she? Why is my daughter talking to a stranger? Where is the nanny? He crossed the street quickly, his jaw tightening. As he approached, he slowed his steps close enough to hear. "You really knew my mommy?" Lily's voice was soft but eager. The woman nodded gently. "Yes, sweetheart. I was there during the night shifts." Daniel felt the air leave his lungs. Night shifts. He had rarely stayed nights. He had told himself he couldn't bear watching Emily struggle. In truth, he had been afraid. Afraid of helplessness. Afraid of the machines. Afraid of the possibility that love wasn't enough to save someone. "Daddy." Lily suddenly noticed him and waved. "Come meet her." Daniel forced a composed expression and stepped forward. The woman slowly stood up. Her eyes met his, not accusing, not resentful. "Just calm, Mr. Whitmore," she said respectfully. "You may not remember me. I'm Margaret Carter. I was one of Emily's nurses." The name did not immediately register. But her voice did. Soft, steady, familiar in a distant way, like a sound heard through a half-open hospital door. "I don't recall," Daniel admitted carefully. "That's all right," she replied kindly. "You had a lot on your shoulders." The sentence carried no judgment. That unsettled him more than blame would have. Lily looked between them. "Mrs. Carter told me Mommy used to tell stories about me at night. She said Mommy wasn't scared." Daniel's chest tightened painfully. Wasn't scared. Emily had told him she was afraid. Had she hidden that from Lily? Or from him? "Mrs. Carter spoke gently. Your wife was brave. Even when she was in pain, she asked about Lily's drawings. She described your piano recitals, sweetheart." Lily's eyes sparkled. Daniel felt something crack inside. He had not known these details. Because he had not asked. Because he had built a habit of avoiding the parts that hurt. How do you know my daughter now? He asked, trying to steady his voice. I volunteer at a community shelter a few blocks from here, Mrs. Carter explained. Her class visits sometimes. When I introduced myself last week, she recognized the hospital name. Daniel glanced at the paper bag again. Groceries. Simple, modest. A former nurse volunteering at a shelter. Do you still work at the hospital? He asked. Mrs. Carter hesitated slightly. No. After some staffing cuts and personal matters, I had to leave. She did not elaborate. She did not complain. The wind picked up, rustling Lily's hair. Daniel realized something deeply uncomfortable. The woman who had held his wife's hand during the nights he couldn't face, was now standing in worn shoes outside his daughter's school. And he had never once thought about her. Never wondered who had comforted Emily when he left. His habit had been self-preservation. Detach, function, succeed. But standing there, he felt how narrow that life had become. Daddy, Lily said softly, slipping her hand into his, can she have coffee with us? Just for a little. The old Daniel would have refused instantly. Security risk, social boundary, time constraint. He opened his mouth to decline. But Lily's fingers tightened, and in Mrs. Carter's eyes, he saw no expectation, only quiet dignity. For a long moment, the city noise faded. There were no stock markets, no boardrooms, no headlines, just a child, a nurse, and a man realizing how much he had missed. All right, Daniel heard himself say quietly. There's a cafe nearby. Mrs. Carter looked startled. Oh, Mr. Whitmore, that's not necessary. It is, he interrupted, though he wasn't entirely sure why. As they walked toward the car, Daniel felt something unfamiliar pressing against his carefully built armor. Memory, guilt, curiosity, and something else, a fragile desire to know who his wife had been in those final nights. Because perhaps, in learning that, he might finally begin to understand the parts of himself he had been avoiding. And for the first time in 3 years, Daniel Whitmore felt his perfectly structured habits begin to tremble. Inside, time seemed too slow. Lily slid into the booth first, patting the seat beside her. Sit with me, Mrs. Carter. Margaret Carter hesitated, glancing at Daniel as if asking silent permission. He gave a small nod. Something inside him had already shifted, not dramatically, not yet, but enough. They ordered tea for Mrs. Carter, hot chocolate for Lily, black coffee for Daniel. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Lily leaned forward eagerly. Tell me more about Mommy. What did she say at night? Margaret's hands wrapped gently around the warm cup. She used to ask about your spelling tests, she smiled. And she once made me promise that if you ever felt lonely, I should tell you she believed you were the strongest girl in the world. Lily's eyes filled instantly. Daniel looked down at the table. Strongest girl in the world. Emily had been the one fighting for her life. Yet she had been thinking about Lily's emotions. And he had been thinking about survival, efficiency, outcomes. Margaret continued softly, one night, when the pain was very bad, she asked me to describe the sunrise. She said she wanted to imagine watching one with you again. Daniel's fingers tightened around his coffee cup. He had never known that. He had left before dawn most mornings during those hospital weeks. He couldn't bear watching her attached to machines. He told himself he would remember her as vibrant. But perhaps Emily had needed him most in those quiet nights he avoided. Did Mommy ever talk about Daddy? Lily asked innocently. Daniel's breath stopped. Margaret glanced at him gently. She said your father carries the world on his shoulders. But she hoped one day he would realize he doesn't have to carry it alone. Silence fell like a wave. Daniel blinked hard. Carry the world. He had done exactly that, taken every burden, every responsibility, every business risk, but never grief. Never vulnerability. He had built a habit of strength so rigid that it left no room for softness. Margaret set down her cup carefully. Your wife was extraordinary, Mr. Whitmore, not because she married a successful man, but because she saw people others overlooked. The words hit him sharply. Saw people others overlooked. He thought about how he had nearly walked past Margaret today. How he had first seen her as a threat, an inconvenience, not as a human being. What happened after you left the hospital? Daniel asked quietly. Margaret hesitated this time. My husband was diagnosed with heart disease, she said. Insurance covered part of it. Not all. I worked double shifts. Then funding cuts reduced staff. I was let go. I tried to renew my license after things stabilized, but courses cost money. She smiled faintly. So I volunteer at the shelter now. helping where I can, helping where I can. Even after everything, she still served others. Daniel felt something electric move through him. All his life, he believed power meant control. But this woman, with worn shoes and a paper bag of groceries, possessed something he had lost. Purpose beyond profit. Lily suddenly reached into her backpack and pulled out a folded drawing. I made this for mommy last week, she said shyly. But I didn't know where to put it. Margaret unfolded the paper carefully. It showed 3 figures holding hands under a sunrise. I think, Margaret said gently, your mother would want this somewhere she can see it. Daniel swallowed. Where? Lily whispered. Margaret looked at him. Maybe somewhere your father visits. The meaning was clear. The grave. Daniel had avoided it for months. Flowers were delivered automatically. The cemetery managed maintenance. He had outsourced even remembrance. Because going there meant standing still. And standing still meant feeling. He looked at Lily, hopeful, vulnerable. And in that instant, a decision formed. After this, Daniel said quietly, we'll go together. Lily's face lit up like sunlight breaking through clouds. Really, Daddy? Yes. Margaret's eyes shimmered. The waitress arrived with the bill, placing it discreetly on the table. Daniel reached for it, but something stopped him. This moment wasn't about money. It was about acknowledgement. Mrs. Carter, he said firmly, how much would it cost to renew your nursing license? She blinked. Ek se ek don't know exactly. A few thousand, perhaps. And if you had the opportunity, would you return? Her answer came without hesitation. In a heartbeat. Daniel nodded slowly. Then consider it handled. Her expression changed instantly, not relief alone, but pride battling humility. Mr. Whitmore, I don't want pity. This isn't pity, he said gently. It's gratitude. The word hung between them. Gratitude. For the nights she stayed when he left. For the comfort she gave Emily. For the stories she preserved. Lily suddenly jumped from her seat and hugged Margaret tightly. Thank you for staying with mommy, she whispered. Margaret closed her eyes. Daniel looked away briefly, blinking back the unfamiliar sting. Outside, Manhattan continued its relentless rhythm, deals closing, markets shifting, fortunes rising. But inside that small cafe, something far greater shifted. A habit broke. Daniel had lived years believing success meant distancing himself from pain, from vulnerability, from ordinary people. Now he saw the truth. Power without compassion is empty. Efficiency without empathy is cold. And habits, no matter how strong, can change. Later that evening, they stood together at Emily's grave. Lily placed her drawing against the headstone. The sun dipped low, casting gold across the sky. Daniel spoke aloud for the first time since the funeral. I'm trying, he whispered. The wind moved softly through the trees. And for the first time in 3 years, Daniel did not feel alone. Because compassion had replaced distance. Presence had replaced avoidance. And a simple conversation between a child and a poor woman had restored something wealth never could. Human connection.